And good evening. Welcome to yet another edition of the Lambom Show. Today is Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. Circle of Trusts. We are here to talk about the 2023 Circle of Trust Summer Camp for teenagers between 16 and 19 years old. I'm going to let Mrs. Minang take over and tell us while I get myself set. Thanks.
Hello. Hi, good evening. Thank you, Lambert, for bringing us again on your show and for allowing us to come talk about the Circle of Trust Youth Camp that's scheduled for this year in July. And I know why you're getting yourself situated with internet issues. We're just going to talk a little bit, Jacob, I, and Ebube and Crystal about their experience on the camp, just so that those that are listening could learn a little bit more about this opportunity to do something different in the summer, meet other people, network, and build a strong portfolio for a career path. Um, Before I start, my name is Delis, and I'm one of the co-founders and coordinators of the summer camp. Um, I think I'll pass it on to Ebube to introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Ibube Chukwuka Ligbe. I'm one of the former participants of the Summer Youth Camp, and I was 16 when I attended. It was a lovely experience, and I hope others have the same opportunity as I.
Thank you, Ebube. And Crystal?
My name is Crystal Abonga, and I was in the last batch. So we are the last batch of the 2022 CoT Camp.
Okay. Yes, you guys just finished the camp of last year, right? Um, so I think we've lost Jacob and Mentor. Jacob and Mentor were also volunteers at the camp, and I think they'll be coming on anytime soon. But while we are waiting for them, I wanted to ask if you all can, starting with you, Crystal, tell me a little bit about what you experienced at the camp um, when you came for the camp.
So I'll always start off with I didn't want to go before because I didn't want to go somewhere I wasn't used to or just somewhere like. But to be honest, it was a great experience. It was just 1 week of gaining something different. We're able to build a portfolio of ourselves that's going to help us in the future, make new friends. Go.
I know. I can see you have visitors.
We're able to build something that is going to help us in the future. The camp was open to so many talks. We could learn a lot from one another, experience different things. It was really, really nice. And I'm trust me, I'm gonna advise anybody who is within the age of 16 and 19 to definitely try for it because it was really helpful, education wise, mentally wise. Because we didn't have just about it was something very vast. We had education, fun time, emotional moments, and everything. So it was really good, and I had a
Yeah,
good time.
good. I'll come back to the best your best part later. But Ebube, how about you? Can you tell us about your experience at the camp?
Okay, so I'll first start off with how I got to the camp. So the camp is like an intersection in a secluded area. So when I first passed it, I was really flabbergasted at like where the camp was located. So we had to turn around because I was arguing with my mom on where the camp was gonna be. So we had to turn around. She did turn out to be right. So we
Hmm.
turned around and we entered and we pulled up to this like little. It's not. It wasn't a little cabin. It was like a hostel, but it was like in the middle of nowhere. I
Yes.
was genuinely surprised when they were like, "This is the camp," and it felt really weird. But I got inside and I saw Miss Dillis, and she was very welcoming, and that really helped me acclimatize. Plus, I had a bunkmate in which it also helped me going along. And because our batch was smaller, there was a family, more family filled atmosphere going around. So that made it a whole lot easier. And of course, Miss Dillis and Mr. Jacob were very nice and welcoming. And it really helped show how you can grow as a person. And the two of them are who I take as my mentors because they were calm and welcoming to a group of strangers, even when I, I know how offsetting it could be. So it really baffled me to see someone so nice and so welcoming to a group of people that she only just recently met. That's all I can say.
Wow, thank you for that. Thank you for that. It's interesting because I think when I met both of you and the rest of the other people that came for the camp, I could see on your faces you were all uh, just like, what did I get myself into? like, like why didn't I say no when my mom asked me? So I'm happy to hear that you guys were able to get over that initial resistance. But let's talk about that resistance, right? What made you resist? What is it that you first thought about when you heard of the camp? Any one of you can go first. Okay, I'll pick on Crystal. What did you first think about when you heard of the camp?
So something our previous one of us in our previous batch used to say was we all thought it was a boot camp, straight up about book reading. So it felt like we're leaving school and we're going to another boot camp. Because all camps we have heard of is about studying, studying, studying. So my first impression about the camp was it was definitely going to be boring because the environment was just so calm, chill. That was like 1 week of you being away from home, you being away from the town, just you being in like some type of place you've never been there before, or you're probably visited, but just like for temporary, but not actually stay there for like a week. So my first impression of the camp was just like you're going back to school and you're trying to experience something different, but it was just like plain studies, and there was nothing going to be fun about it. But it was really a wrong impression.
Good. What about you, Ebube? What made you resist?
So I was thinking the camp was gonna be more along the religious route, which it was, but like that wasn't the only thing going on there. I thought it was gonna be strictly religious, which was why I was not upset, right? But just not eager to like go along with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you found that the camp had both religious, both educational, but there were other aspects about the camp then that made you um, change your mind about it. Can you tell me two or three things that really? stood out for you about the camp? Thank you, Mentor. Welcome. And welcome, Jacob. Welcome back. We're talking to uh, Krista and Ebube about their experience at the camp. So I was asking Ebube to tell us just one or two things that stood out for him, that was exceptional for him at the camp.
Uh,
Go ahead, Ebube.
oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, so two things that stood out to me was we walked into, right, and they had a conference room, but it was like a small group of chairs in like the back of the room, and so that really surprised me, right? It's circle of trust, circle of chairs. I should have guessed that, but that still surprised me. The second one was they had a basketball hoop outside. So I was like, okay, if I ever got too bored, I would just go out there and throw a couple hoops.
Sorry, I missed the refer to the circle of trust thing. What about it captured you? Did you hear me? Did you hear me? Okay. I can't hear you. Are you hearing me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I said circle of trust, circle of chairs in the back of the room.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
the first moment where we sit
right.
down and just talk. Um, Crystal, before I come to you to answer that question, let me give a minute for Mentor to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about how she got connected to the camp, and then we'll go to Jacob. Him, go ahead, Mentor.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. I actually started doing a preliminary before we officially started, and I shared with everyone. First name Menthol, last name Sama. Um, and I was telling Lambert, Ibobi, and Crystal that I got involved through Circle of Trust, as it will be rightfully mentioned. I was a participant in our Women's Talk forum and found out about the summer camp. My children are teenagers, and I was hoping they would participate. My first, unfortunately, just narrowly missed the cutoff age of 19. And my second, um, that week, had a basketball tournament. So she was not able to take part. So I'm actively campaigning for her to take part this year.
We're hoping to see her this year.
Yes, yes, yes. By hook, crook, bribery, somewhere or another. Yes, so I took upon myself to volunteer, and lo and behold, I left very fulfilled, very fulfilled. And when Dr. Quino, I remember his
Aquino,
name
yeah,
correct,
Dr.
Aquino,
Aquino,
yes.
yeah.
Um, during the final
The
day,
networking dinner.
yes, gave his keynote speech on his book about fulfillment. It was a big takeaway for me to understand the difference between happiness and fulfillment and just life purpose. But let me rewind a little bit. the day I came and when you were doing the presentation on the portfolio, I actually thought my resume was like stellar. And when you brought out that huge binder and you went all the way back to like certifications and CPR, and everything was neatly organized, folder by section, and extracurricular activity and work experience. And I'm like, OMG, I'm not even started. I have a lot of work to
Yeah, yeah,
do. So, yeah.
that's a common reaction that I get
Ye-
from a lot of people that see that portfolio, and
Yes.
it's something, right? It's really just something to have, something.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a
Mm-hmm.
differentiator to
It is.
carry that and walk into any interview, whether it's a school interview or a job interview. It just is a differentiator to be that
It is.
prepared. Yeah.
It is. It is. Because honestly, I'm used to the one page, maximum two page, and most of my career, they've said the more concise you can make it, the better. Because, HR people just want to breeze over it. And, if anything, do a letterhead. No, is it a
Hmm.
letterhead?
Yeah.
No, no.
A cover letter.
Cover letter. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's how you can gain more attention. So walk learning about the binder and just like the portfolio and the format in which you presented it was really refreshing. So thank you for that. Thank you. Those were my two big takeaways. So I actually wish I had been there for the whole week, believe it or not.
I
So
know.
I'm looking at the plan this summer. I'm like, can I make it for the whole camp? Can I?
Yeah.
I
We're
said,
really
Lord,
looking for volunteers, so we would be
I know. I
really
really, I really
ecstatic
want to
if,
be there and to
yeah,
just
yeah.
leave me, but man, I never be millionaire yet. I'm like, God, please, you know what I need in my life. Make it possible.
Yes, it shall come to pass.
Amen.
So,
So I
I
think you
think
all started
Jacob,
off from the back coming to the front, and I
y-
believe that I want to circle back and really like get a foundation because you
thank
started
you,
by
Lambert, for rescuing me.
eh, you we want to start off by let's get the real foundation. And Dr. J, since you have not spoken, I first of all want to say congratulations on the 20th anniversary of your wedding that is coming up in and also to give perspective that if you are 20, then you have some teenagers that you have of your own. And so before the camp, is it the seventh year or the eighth year? I don't remember that. And I just wanted to get back to what is the origin of this camp? How did this camp start? I mean, we have had this conversation about the camp, but for the sake of those who are new, what is the origin? What do you seek to achieve? Dr. Jacob Mina. I
Are you
think you're on
muted?
mute.
You're muted.
Eh,
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, sorry, I had my mic off because of the kids that were around, and then I forgot to put it back on. But thank you for bringing us back to basics. I think it's as a differentiator between professional journalists and people that are just on their hand, right? And when they're in the studio and then they just go off. But Circle of Trust is actually a 10-year-old organization started by 7 couples. So there are 6 other couples that are behind this effort. And the idea back then when we started 10 years ago was really to zoom in on helping our fellow couples navigate the different landmines that make marriage difficult and unhappy, so people can be able to live fulfilling marriage lives, and recognizing that we get into marriage with different personalities, different baggage, and if only we can understand each other, we can make our marriages better. But then, as things progress through the years, we realize that we have to deal with the family as a unit and not just a couple. And that so we wanted to pick on on some area, and the idea of doing a youth camp became an obvious place to start. But we're thinking about young families that move here from Cameroon, other African countries, new immigrants that the parents have just moved here. They're still trying to find their way around, but they have kids that age transitioning between high school and college, and they don't really have the right orientation. So figured if we started a free camp in the summer, we probably can provide these kids with the most basic tools that they need. And so we had to brainstorm, but what would be the best thing that you can really provide for kids in that age range? And that's when Dilys came up with the brilliant idea of a portfolio, more based from a personal experience of hers when she was transitioning between high school and college. Her parents have a similar background. They came here when they were teenagers, but she was lucky that she participated in some scholarship program, which was called the McNair program. Until this day, more than 15 years down the road, she still has a portfolio that she worked on during that McNair program training, that she only just updates every now and then. And given how helpful that has been in her life, she figured that would be a good place to start. Then we can just add other things, the social aspects, emotional intelligence, financial intelligence, just some other little things to make it a full week and fun week. And we also realize at that age is also when the kids are transitioning to get out of their home for the first time. So keeping them away from their parents for a week also sounds like a preparation for them to be able to be detached from those parents, because there's that anxiety that the parents are going to be experiencing as they go to college. So that's basically the concept. The first camp was organized in 2018. And you're right, our daughter was actually part of the first batch of 16 students in 2018. And they're all doing very well now out there in life. Some of them are engineers already, some are nurses, some are still in grad school doing other things. And then we had three batches after that. Then COVID hit. We didn't have any camp in 2020 and 2021. And we reopened last year with Christel and Ebube's class. We cannot.
Lambert, you're muted.
So we cannot hear Lambert, but if you guys can hear me,
Lambert, you're muted.
if you
You're
guys
muted.
if you guys can hear me, so this year the classes usually run from Sunday to Sunday, like 8 days and 8 nights. So this year's class is going to be from July 9 to July 16th. Just filling in the void until maybe we can get Lambert back. And so really the purpose of this program tonight is for you guys to hear from alumni of the program and volunteers like Auntie Mentor and myself, and to encourage kids to sign up, for parents to uh, get rid of their anxieties and let their children, or encourage their children to sign up, and to also plead with other professionals in the African immigrant community to sign up to volunteer to really help these kids during this 1 week. You don't have to be there the entire week. The kids have there the entire week, but the volunteers, you don't have to be there the entire week. You can come for an hour, you can come for a day, for 2 days, whatever works for you. Most importantly, if you can at least show up for the networking dinner on the
Now,
last day.
I think that networking dinner is very important. Anything that has food, is a good thing. But I wanted to come back to so Dr. Mrs. Minang. So there's Dr. Jacob Minang, and then there's Dr. Mrs. I hope you know the difference. But Dr. Mrs. Minang, what are some of the things that you have heard from parents that prevents them from sending kids to the camp? And I can give you one example. My daughter recently had to go for a 1 day camp overnight, and the first thing that was done was they googled the site and realized that somebody died there last year. Okay, that was frightful. Then bed bugs is another issue that people are afraid of. So what are some of the things that prevent? Because one would imagine that when you hear about this, you have teenage kids, you want to send them off, have some fun, some time to yourself, isn't it? So why don't we find our African families taking advantage of this opportunity?
So, you hit the very first one on the head. It's always the fear, right? There's that fear of where the cheats are gonna be. Are they gonna be safe? Are they gonna be okay? And that fear, it runs both ways. It's also for the child as well as for the parent. So that's always the first thing that I hear from parents. Then the other aspect though is the difficulty to convince the children. A lot of parents have voiced that out, and if you heard what Mentor was talking about at the beginning, that was also one of her struggles, to convince the child to come and participate in a camp like this. And if you heard what Krista and Ebube were saying, they were shaking their heads when their parents were dragging them kicking and screaming to camp for the camp, right? So that's the second thing. The third thing is financial. It's
Just hang on that second piece, because I struggle with that, and I mean, I'm not minimizing the other two, but let's talk about this second one. I mean, if you live under my roof, there are rules and you are kicking and screaming about what? You are sending you off to camp, isn't it? So, Crystal and Ebube, I want to hear, what is the problem? Why are you kicking and screaming when dad or mom is saying, "Hey, 1 month this 1 week this summer you are going to go off for a camp"? What is the problem? Why can't you leave the house for 1 week? What is it? And you get into a whole argument. And I get it. I have a 12-year-old daughter. I took her to the store a few weeks ago to buy her shoes.
oh he's muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Yeah, sorry. So I took my 12-year-old daughter to buy her shoes, and I went to Target. And she told me that, "Daddy, no, that's not where we get shoes." And I'm like, "You need shoes? There's a shoe section here." Say, "Daddy, no, I'll pass on that." And I'm wondering, what the hell? What are you talking about? So what is it that you kids who don't pay any bills, okay? All you have to do is do what mom and dad are saying, kicking and screaming against going to a camp. Crystal first.
Krista, you have to unmute.
Okay. So it's just about the place, because when you look at the place or when you hear about it, you're just hearing that, oh, you're going somewhere, like you don't know where you're going to. Just so many thoughts running around your head that, oh, you're leaving home. I've been away from home because I went to a boarding school before, so it's not it's not something that is my first time going away from home. So it's just like you're leaving home and you're going somewhere. Just the fear of just going somewhere that is there's I can't find the right word, but just somewhere you've never been to before. It's like a forest. Let me say that. So that was just me kicking against it. Like you're not going to enjoy your summer, or to say you're going for a camp. You just left school. So what is it with the camp? That was my own opinion about it.
Thank you.
And that changed, isn't it? When you came back, that you were like, you almost missed
That
something, isn't
literally
it?
changed. I would have said I would go the next year if they were doing it consecutively.
Hey, Bobby, how about you? I hope I'm pronouncing your name well, because you have a very long name, and I think my next child will have like 5 syllabic name.
Yes, you are. So for me, it was more boredom. It was going away from the house to a camp where I didn't know anybody. I'm a deeply introverted person, but sometimes I can be like extroverted. And before I left the house, right, I didn't know where I was going. And then I got to the camp. As I told you, we missed like the first turn. So it was more like, where we going, mother? And then it was like the forest and then the cabin. And then I was making jokes about it on the way there, like there's not going to be any Wi-Fi. But that actually terrified me because then I wouldn't have anything to really enjoy myself. And we can say, oh, there's sports outside, you can go and play outside. But what happens when you're tired, huh? So that was my opinion.
Yeah, again, one would be, one would think that school is out. I mean, you don't want to. Most of you don't want to have adults around. You just want to be by yourself. But I think also the problem of games and all that. But now, what I'm saying is, those of you who are scared and thinking that is some religious thing, I don't know what the problem you have with religion or the campsite or some, you have just heard. These are your age mates. They were, they didn't like it. They did not want to go out, and they did, and they had a fun time, like you can hear them. But Dr. Mrs. Minang, continue. I stopped you midway.
Yeah. So the other aspect is the financial, right? Um, Not just financial in sending the child, it's financial in what it would cost them to have that child out of the house. For some of the parents, these young adults between the age of 16 to 19 are those that they're relying on to take care of their baby brother or baby sister, right? So if you're going to send that 16 to 19-year-old out of the house, then you have to figure out where you keep the junior ones and all that. So that's also part of the struggles that we have. And that's one of the biggest reasons why this is a free camp, because we don't want the parent to think about anything else other than just how do I take care of me while this child is gone for 1 week. Um, as long as they can drop them off to us, or as long as they can buy the ticket for the child to board the plane. We've had people come from as far as Texas, right? As long as they can buy the ticket, and have the child board the plane, we'll pick up the child and bring them over and um and drop off the child off for their to catch their flight. So we take everything from when they get to us here in Maryland. I'm
Okay.
not sure if
I think we lost Lambert a little bit.
yeah. But those are the three struggles that most parents have, and um, how to overcome them. Like I said, the financial one is just not adding to any of their already burdensome schedule or task, and then the one of how do they convince their children to come is what we're trying to do. If your child needs to talk to one of the alumni, if you reach out to me, I can connect them up and they can talk to Crystal or Ebube on the side and just get a feel for what it's like. And for as far as the parents' fears, we're always here. The camp is a very safe site. It is like they describe it, is in the middle of nowhere, but it's truly a very secured site. Um, the it's like a hostel style in a cabin. So they have their own rooms. They do share rooms. They have the place is locked in the night. We don't allow anybody to come with cars or anything because we provide transportation. We drop them, we pick them up for any activity they're going to. We always have chaperones with them throughout the day and night. Where any activity they go to, there's a chaperone. Pretty much we've taken all those steps to make sure that they are safe and trust me, take it from me, I have seven. So when I send them to anywhere, I am always on my toes about are they gonna be safe? And
Yeah, so if I may just circle back, just add a little bit on the fear that parents have. So in our community, people knowing people is very big, and I think one part of the fear too is parents don't know who the organizers of this camp are. Just like taking care of the fears of the young people is by getting more alumni to talk to them. For the parents, we think we're very big on bringing in more volunteers because that's the way by which you multiply the number of people that will potentially be known by the parents. Because Dillis and myself it's just so many people that know us. It's not that many. But the more adult volunteers that come on board, then you get more people that will be able to that will know someone that knows somebody that is part of the camp process, and that will really help to allay that fear of parents because they would like to know the people that are organizing it, what is their background, things like that.
I think
Yeah, just go on. I'm settling in, but again, it's important for people to understand that there's never been any problem over the last how many years since this scam
yeah.
started. We have not had
Exactly.
any.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that is a good experience. Uh, the problem in our community, like you said, the African community, we have other priorities, but I think it's an experience that each parent should want for the child. And if I want to ask, I mean, concretely, what are the takeaways? What is it that somebody is going to gain by coming to a camp like this? What is it?
I don't know if the Ebube, do you want to take that question?
I could.
Go ahead. What
So,
did you gain from coming to a camp like
Key
this?
takeaways like 3 or 4.
so first of all, emotional freedom. I felt a lot better because we had a trauma session where we shared our fears and our desires, and that was really, I want to say that was really enlightening for me because I wasn't aware I had so many buried so deep. Uh, Two, you make a lot of friends that you're able to keep in contact with even after you leave the camp. A lot of people that you might think you might not enjoy being around, but you get to find out that, hey, they're not as bad as they seem. Third of all, you get to an increasing your social skills because the camp really takes you from being at least familiar with one person in that room to being unfamiliar with anybody. And so you have to find a way to bring up a conversation or something that helps you connect with someone else, unless you're just going to let the camp walk you by. That's all I can say.
Thank
Crystal.
you, Crystal.
Okay, so I would say education wise, because it was the period of where just 3 months I was going to start applying for colleges and scholarships and even getting a job. So it helped us to build reference letters, statement of purpose, and everything we're going to need to be able to find the right place we will further our education in. And I'll also say mental health wise, we were able to, like, it was more like a therapy session too as well. It was not just about the work, the studies, and all. We were able to find ourselves and who we are. And I also say money wise, we're able to also learn a lot of things about financial and how to build a good financial record as we grow up.
Yeah. So emotional intelligence and financial intelligence,
Yeah.
very, very important. Yeah.
You know, you guys put it so succinctly. I could not have answered that well. You know, um, if they asked me the question, I would have been focusing on resumes and reference letters and all that. But you know, the things you guys talk about, the emotional aspect that we worked on, the fears, the desires that we worked on, the learning yourself, that's truly the most powerful thing you can take into this world today. It's knowing yourself and knowing who you are that can help you to interact with other people and be confident about your skills, about the good you bring to each
Interaction.
community. Each interaction is communication. So it was a pleasure having you too, I can say. And I'm so happy you took all that and you've been using it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's great, and I wanted to circle back because we talked about it earlier on. Our kids are really suffering, going through something these days mentally that it's, I mean, you need to come from a really strong home. You know, we have witnessed a lot of suicides within our community. There are teenagers, the gun culture here, and all that. So I am wondering, and Krista, what school do you go to?
Well, you have graduated, I think. So you
Yeah.
left
No,
and you
I
went to.
Well, she's graduating in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
yeah, I
Okay.
graduate next week. I go to North High.
Well, hi. How about you?
I go to Duval.
Good. So again, there are a lot of peer pressure that the people have, and again, you talked a lot about. I mean, you referenced it, Abube, that part of what you have gained throughout this period or during the camp is a different set of friends. You plug into the mental piece, and I'm wondering concretely how that has impacted you. How are you able to cope with some of the challenges that you have outside what you learned from school? Dr. J mentioned emotional intelligence. It's not just for our kids, for all of us, isn't it? It's an aspect that we have really not grown up paying attention to. We pay attention to the IQ, but the EQ is something that is really missing at this point. And for both of you, Crystal, and I will come to you after this mentor because as a mother and somebody who took part in it, transformationally, 8 days is not something that you are going to have. You'll be a miracle. But what did you take away emotionally that has helped you?
Okay, so can I go first?
Absolutely.
So for me, it was more like understanding more in depth people's perspective. For example, my mom might say something, or I might ask, and she might reply, like, no, you can't do this, but she doesn't give me a reason. But it's now led me to like try and look around to see what exactly is it that she's trying to prevent, and leading to me bringing up like something that might prevent it or make her allow me to do the thing I want to do instead of just throwing a tantrum.
I think he was muted accidentally.
You
Crystal.
muted yourself.
Yeah, this technology thing is crazy.
Go ahead, Crystal. You have to unmute yourself. I think he muted himself by accident, and he's still talking. And he was
Ebube, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself?
and he was speaking a lot of wisdom, and then just technology just took it away from us.
There you go. Thank you. So we ended at where you said you now use it to communicate better with your mom.
Right, I was able to like figure out why exactly did she refuse me and try to figure out a way to ensure that we both became happy.
Yeah.
So understanding that interaction, even your mom too comes into the conversation with her own fears and desires, right? And her own anxieties. It's not just you,
Right.
Crystal.
Crystal, any?
Okay, so we're able to learn our fears and desires and also understand that people are not always going to accept you, and not everybody's going to understand you all the time. You just have to find a way to better off explain yourself, as Ebube said, communication. Because I'm somebody who is big on um falsely being accused.
Mhm.
Like that is something whereby it really takes me out. But you just have to understand that not everybody is going to like is going to acknowledge you all the time and always going to communicate with you all the time, but you just have to put effort and understand that people are not the same. People react differently, people take things differently. So you are the one to work towards it. You have to try. You don't always have to just sit down and just be like, oh, because they're not taking it the way you want it to go. You just sit down and be like, no. You have to make efforts. Just try. And also try to understand that everybody is not the same. We all have our own minds and we can take things differently.
Powerful. So you have mastery. You're the master of your reaction because you cannot control people's actions,
Yeah.
and so you can decide either to react, which is quickly without thinking, or you can respond, which requires a little bit of time and introspection.
You guys are the best, huh? I mean, you really put in a lot. When we were growing up, our parents forced us to go to something they call vocations camp. That's where we thought that we're going to become priests or nuns, and all. I'm sure if we ask you guys to come to that kind of thing, you guys will be screaming, isn't it? But I'm glad that you guys are talking about emotional stuff, and that is important because again, if you are watching, listening, African parents, this camp is something that we should be having numbers. The people should be saying that we need more space. We'll come to that. But Mr. Summer, so again, I listened to you and it's quite amazing that you were able to volunteer some time and you had that little battle trying to convince your child to come in for the camp. So as a parent now, let's presume that I'm inviting you to come and talk to other parents. Okay, what is it you are going to be? Give me your elevator pitch as to why should they send their children to this camp?
So let me just start off. Point of correction. It wasn't necessarily a battle. The challenge was a time factor. At the point which we became aware of the camp, we had prior commitments. So it was a time factor. And just like Ebube and Crystal shared, those, you know, apprehensions of, teenagers. But yes, as a parent, who has volunteered. Um, it's definitely um, a valuable opportunity for our teenage children, especially first generation immigrant children coming to America or who are born in America, because it definitely presents a world of opportunities to them. Um, Learning about the emotional intelligence, learning about the financial resources that they can take advantage of, the scholarship opportunities, just a plethora of things they can take advantage of and have an upper hand going into the world as they mature and become young adults in this, new world that they most likely will live in, moving forward, being the way, things are going. Because it's highly likely that they will possibly be going to Cameroon to visit. I don't know that they will be living there permanently like generations before us. Um, so yeah, it's a foundation that they really need to take advantage of. Um, I cannot emphasize it enough. I cannot emphasize it enough. So, um, Uncle Jacob and Diddlers, maybe on one of the flyers we can do a synopsis of the topics that you touch on. Just
Right.
yeah, just like Crystal and Ibube mentioned, the finances, the emotional intelligence, just to give
Portfolio
an idea.
building.
Yes, the portfolio builder, just to give an idea, because I actually even forgot some of those things until they mentioned it, and I was like, oh yes, we did talk about we did talk about those, and they were very very helpful, just, and I remember because I came as a younger adult to the States. I had no clue what a social security number was. I had no clue what a credit score was. Had I known what I know now, I believe I would have been better prepared to tackle some of the challenges or some of the things I encountered, um, as opposed to learning them when I learned them. So it's just like getting ready for common entrance or GCE. You have that curriculum, you're prepared for it, as opposed to being thrown into the wild. I hope I'm
Yeah,
making sense.
absolutely.
Right. So
Yes.
you touched on something that Dillis, I mean, again, mentioned before. When she came into this country, she also came in. I'm sure. I don't know whether that was young adult,
The
16.
teenager.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Came in
pretty
at
much that.
20.
Yeah, yes, pretty much that same age, and that is part of what has informed the curriculum. After all, Dr. Jacob came here already as a doctor, so that one was
As an
already
old man,
yes. But there's something that
it
you
was
touch on.
baked in.
Yeah, Miss Mentor, there's something that you touched on which I really just wanted to again come back to foundations, because of course there are too many things. It's a fast world, and there are just too many things all around. People think that the school has become an escape route for us to dump the kids there and then have some quiet. But then uh, outside that academic milieu, the basic things that make people to succeed, you don't find them. And that is why a camp like this is good for people to go in, at least you are taken back to the basics. But what I wanted to go to is, what is that experience of yours or experiences you came as a young adult and then you are now finding out years later and then you say, I wish I had known this, and that is why you are so plugged into this camp. You have one or two you want to share?
So when I say I wish I had known this, um, I I found out earlier. What I'm emphasizing to parents is that this is valuable exposure they can give their children at this early teenagehood in their lives, as opposed to them finding out maybe in their, I don't know, late 20s, early 30s, like, you know, some of us had to. So take advantage of this opportunity as it presents itself, because these are things that are, you know, their Caucasian counterparts or other races, not to pick on, the Caucasian children, probably have already known from um, early adolescence, probably, you know. So we should give our children that privilege as well, to know these things, because I strongly believe that, you know, an Indian child who was born here, maybe at 13 or 12, already understands what a credit card is, already understands what a credit score is, already understands how to seek scholarship opportunities, already understands how to communicate, how to navigate their network system, how to, what else did we talk about? Um, go out there and seek work opportunities, how to go for and apply for internships, you know just those non-academic opportunities that, you know elevate your success in life and quality of life, so they have the experience and exposures that make the little differences that we as Africans, because of our background, possibly and probably do not have. So that is what this camp offers. So I'm pleading, I'm imploring our parents, aunties, uncles, grandmas, grandpas to kindly take advantage of this opportunity. you know, Dr. Mrs. Minang are offering it to us practically free. So what else can we do, you know, to give
You
our
know,
children that,
I was just
opportunity in life?
gonna
Right.
say with the free part, actually the community is offering it to us free because the community donate their money. I mean, we had close to 70 something people donate money
last
for
summer.
last summer for this summer's camp. And every
Hmm.
year we run a
A
drive,
1 week
a
drive, yeah.
1 week fundraiser drive where the community gives for this camp to happen. So it's really the community that's giving this
Hmm.
to its own children.
Right.
So take advantage of it. Send
I
your
think
children, let them come experience it.
it
Yeah.
seems as if you are just trying to remind me that there was a pledge that I made on behalf of my community that I would. We can take that offline. But I mean, yeah, for the interest of time, let's, uh, Dr. Mrs. Minang, let's go through a schedule. What is the typical schedule for the week like? I know you put out something here, but what is the typical schedule? So eight
So I
days, 7 nights, free lodging, plus meals, training on education, career paths, finances, networking, meet pros in your social outings, sightseeing. Okay. What's the
Yeah.
typical schedule?
So, beginning right out on Sunday when the kids are dropped off, we have a mass, and it's just an opening prayer, and then after the prayer, we have just a talk with the participants when everybody else leaves. That first talk is just where we introduce ourselves. Everybody gets the chance to introduce themselves, and that about takes us to the end of that night, and they all go to bed. They wake up in the morning, they have breakfast. We have our first sessions. Our morning sessions are all dedicated to the things that go into our binders. The reference letter, the resume, the cover letter, the
Statement
um,
of purpose.
statement of purpose. Those each we take each morning session and do one a day.
Mm.
And then in
Correct.
the
Correct. Mhm.
afternoon, we get to allow them to spend time working on it. So they have a working session where they then fill in their own and build up their own. Then in between that, during the week, you have the conversation on credit building, the conversation on how to start a business and grow a business. So those two conversations are things that were requested by the participants in the past, and it has just become a staple part of the week. And then we also have a sightseeing where we go out and introduce them either to the state capital or the
Federal account.
federal capital, all in the effort of showing these young people that you are our future. You are, in order to get us to live a more wholesome life in this society, we got to get involved. We got to be part of the political atmosphere. We got to be part of the advocacy atmosphere of this country. And in the evenings, we spend most of the evenings doing the emotional intelligence conversation. We talk about our fears, our desires, our love languages, our apology languages. We get to understand ourselves. I mean, the focus is more about understanding yourself, because what you can do is control who you are. You cannot control the other person. But based on how you control yourself, the other person is going to react to that. And that's how you turn to control the other persons. And so that's it in a nutshell. And we round up on Sunday with a networking dinner where we bring other professionals in the field to come and talk and interact with these children, with these young adults, and so they can talk about their professions and just get them connected. And the idea is for the young adults to take cards or connect or phone numbers from those professionals that pick their imagination.
So that's a $20,000 program that is put out for you in a week for free, isn't it?
Yes.
The most exciting part for me is always the food. So I know that the fact the networking dinner is going to be a part of it. But again, I think it's a great, just listening to that credit, credit score, how to start and grow a business. Okay, and even just the emotional piece, our fears, our desires, and all that. Those are things that priceless things. People pay to go see counselors to get all that, and these are things that people get for free. And in your experience, maybe Dr. J, have we had more boys than girls, or have we had more girls than boys, or is it an even number? And I can guess what the answer is
It's
because
the way
most.
of the world. There are more
Well,
girls than boys.
interestingly, it's been a little bit balanced from the very beginning. I think the first class, and it is the first class that made us realize you don't want to have a class bigger than 16 unless you want to run two classes in parallel. If you have enough volunteers, our first class of 16, it was almost 8 and 8. I think we had 8 boys and 8 girls. The next class was a class of 6, and we're actually 3 and 3 because there was a set of twins. We had some twin boys and then one other guy and 3 girls. This last class, I think we had a
With
bube, then
three and two.
it was 3 and 2. So this last class is the one that you had one more girl than boy, but it's mostly been balanced. So it's slightly not representative of our society where you expect a few more girls. I mean, in colleges nowadays, it's common to have classes that have a lot more girls than boys. But the ACAM experience has been really be balanced, which we think we've been very blessed with that because we also want that balance between the sexes as people interact.
Yeah, you can see that we did not plan it, but we are balanced on set here. There are
Yeah,
three men
exactly. So
here and there.
so
But
so so that's why they say if you just if you call God's name earnestly, he's gonna answer your prayer. But I was gonna quickly mention something about the funding because we keep on saying free, and then people are crediting Adelis and I. We've been very intentional throughout the years to make sure that it's really the community that funds it, because that's also another way of making the community more aware of the program. And so when you start talking to their kids about it, then that ambivalence can also go away because, oh, I've heard about it. So actually, I donated for this program. You know, sometimes you just have to remind them that, oh, it's the same program you donated for last year.
so while on it, I know we have hit the 1 hour mark, but where are we in terms of registration? How do people register? How many kids we are looking at? 16. How where are we currently, Doctor Mrs. Mina?
So at the moment, we have 7 participants signed up.
We just rolled
Um,
this out yesterday, right?
Pardon?
We just rolled it out yesterday, right?
No, this
Okay.
has been out for a while.
Okay.
Um, we have 7 participants that have signed up already, and our target this year is to bring in 16. So we're still way off from the targeted goal, and we're hoping that programs like this will be able to sensitize and get more young adults interested, and they would apply. It's just this, the application is an online application. You click the link and you submit an application, and that's it.
So I mean, can you send where's the link so that we can have that
I
on?
think I
And
posted it as a
is
message on.
is it okay? While we're looking for that, so
Yeah.
Crystal, are you have you told your friends in school about it? Have you recommended it to any of your friends? Ebube, have you done so? Because that's the only way the program is going to go ahead, isn't it? When you go out, we went out hunting. We did not need to tell anybody that we had a good hunt, isn't it? All they saw was the beef in the backyard. Then they knew that this guy was a good hunter. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know, have you word of mouth or and tell us what is the best way for us to get more young people, more of your age mates to be interested in the program?
Okay, so for me, I have shared it with a couple of my friends, and I've shared it with my church group, and I feel like the best way would be on social media because most teens our age are on social media. So if they chance across a post or two, they might have some interest in the camp. So that would be one of the best ways.
So social media is vast. Which one? TikTok? You want to do us a TikTok thing for 30 seconds, a minute, or something?
Um, Maybe not TikTok. I
I just
know
posted the
Crystal.
link again.
She's an amazing dancer, so she might have you on TikTok. But for me, Instagram post,
Ebube, you muted yourself again. Unmute yourself.
right? I said for me, Instagram posts. But I know Crystal is an amazing dancer, so you
So
might
she
be
can
kind of
do a
for
TikTok video
TikTok.
for us, right?
Yeah.
Great.
So, Crystal, you have an assignment to get us a
You see how
TikTok
Ebube
ad.
passed the buck so well.
That
How
wasn't.
about that?
We'll try. We'll try.
Oh no, just say I you should ask me when I want it because I want to be the first person to.
The first batch
So
actually
any
did
suggestions?
the first batch actually did a dance competition that they have a short clip of it. So you probably can borrow that and add it to the TikTok video that you're doing, Crystal.
Yeah.
Okay. So I
Yeah.
think that should be our best, and our auntie here already says I mean, you heard her experience, and we are looking forward to. Shella Ngongbo, thank you for coming on. What is this Shella is saying? Is there already a schedule of our activities available? Yes. Dr. Mrs. Minang read that out for us already. Dr. Nicola Starr says, good job. Dr. Nicola Starr, I think, is our son that age yet? He's taller than you already, so I think he should be getting to that age of 16. So please sign him up. I know he likes a lot of basketball. Gilbert Tangua, is this session recorded? Can you share the link after this? Absolutely. So we have said all these beautiful things.
Okay.
Ebube,
Host
what
is
did you not
frozen.
like about the?
Uh, I said
Did
the
you
same
hear? Did you hear
thing.
me?
Yes, I did. I said the same thing to Mr. Jacob and Miss Dylan. Uh, the camp is not situated in like an open space, so it's in the forest, kind of, and so
That's the idea.
that made me a little concerned. But it's safe. It's safe, guys. So if you want to check it out, that's cool.
You would rather have it in the mall.
in the city.
The
Not
idea
in the
was to get people
fall.
So
disconnected.
so the camp is really situated at a very good place where um there's really no distraction. Absolutely no distraction. It's just there for you to be you and be able to find yourself, and you're not distracted with the new and brightest mall that you just drove past or anything like that. But also because there's hardly no cell service out there, we don't have the distraction of phones too, right? The phones are there, but you have to go stand at a particular spot to pick up cell. So, so it's almost like you're in Cameroon all over again. but they have Wi-Fi, and so it's very good for communication. You still have the you're still able to communicate and connect with your parents and with your friends. I know that our very first batch was very concerned about not losing their posting streak on something. I don't know if it was Instagram back then. There was something that they had a posting streak, and somebody had been posting for 30 something days and they didn't want to lose it. And I think they were happy to say they did not lose it, even though they were at the
They
camp.
had to be done end of the day. So I have to say something about it. The campground. It's one of those things that we also say it's a huge, huge blessing that we're like we're shocked when we found that place. It looks like it was prepared for us. This is a place that is specifically built for camps like this, and it's actually called the International Village. It's built like in the middle of nowhere in Washington County, really away from the madding crowds, and people use it for church seminars, for church retreats, for camps for young people. They do outdoors and indoor camps. Perfect setting where you really get disconnected from the world. You're at least 10 miles away from the closest anything that looks like a city. And I don't know how we stumbled on this. And from the very first year we've used this place, and I don't see how we could ever use any place else. It's just the perfect setting for what we do, especially for the daytime sessions where you really want the kids to be focused, because we take them out to camp to town in the evening for socializing. They go bowling and all of that, but then they come back to camp, and in the morning they can really focus.
Yeah. Oh, I
So,
forgot that. That's part of the schedule. The evening socials. They get to pick what activity they want to do eh, during the
And then we
social
go out to
nights.
town. Yeah.
Crystal, what did you not like about the camp?
Let me go back to what people said before I go back to what I don't like. For me, the camp area was very nice because I'm someone who's big on nature, so it was really beautiful to just have an experience of a quiet time without just a quiet time in that kind of place because we had views too. We had lots of things to do in there. We could see the village, we could find lots of things in there and just view nature. What I do not like about the camp was the food. I'm very picky about food and I'm that was something about that was just for me though. And others have their opinion, but for me, I'm very picky when it comes to food. So what I did not like was the food. But we still got to have good food at the end of the day though.
So tell me what you mean by good food, because I'm also very picky, but I eat everything.
So in the morning we had our normal breakfast. Then during the day we had lunch, and in the evening we had dinner at Mr. and Mrs. Minang's house. So that's what I mean about good food. We still had home cooked food.
Yeah. So they were slated to have dinner at the camp, but they all did not have the palate for the Caucasian meals. So that was
So we gave
another
them
thing.
dinners at home,
Yeah, we were able
or
to
we
give
ate
them
out when we're
dinners.
socializing. Yeah,
Yeah, we were able to give them African-based
but they
dinners.
had to deal with sandwiches for lunch.
Yeah. I see Gilbert asked a question about what are the
Hang on,
teenagers
hang
expected to
on,
pack?
hang on.
Oh, okay.
Hang on. Let's take the first question.
All right.
So Caroline says, "Beautiful guys, I'm interested. I'm getting interested, but my son is 15." And she
Just 1 year,
says,
yeah, 1 year remove.
"I've never registered him for a camp because of fear, but now I see my own people. I'm interested. Can you guys drop down the age?" So let's talk about the age in general. Why that age group?
It's interesting. The cutoff of the age actually is been an iteration that will be moving. And actually next year we're looking for a different move also. So let me start by saying this year we set up a working committee to plan for the camp next year. So they're already working on the camp next year, and starting next year what they are trying to do is make it in such a way that it's a high school camp. So you can come in from
10th grade or ninth grade,
no, from ninth
ninth grade.
grade, 10th grade, 11, 12. So we'll take you throughout your high school experience to the end.
So
And
even
then
from 14, therefore,
yes, so you graduate. So next year we would be able to drop that down. And we're trying to put together age appropriate activities. And that way they will truly be able to build up that portfolio, and will truly be able to provide some more in-depth um, uh, tools, especially with selecting colleges, universities, and all that, keeping them on track with what do you have to do in ninth grade, in 10th grade, in 12th, in 11th grade, and in 12th grade to
senior.
get um, to all that. So that's what's planned. So yes, Caroline, just so you know, from next year we'll be able to do that. This
But our son will be 16 anyway next year.
yeah, yeah, he will be. This year, actually, oh, the other reason was parents said, a lot of the parents that came for the planning committee said that they are having a hard time getting their kids out at 16. But if they had to get their kids out at 14, it would be easy. Their 14-year-old listens to them better than the 16-year-old. And so it will be easier. And so the 14-year-old will already be plugged in, because when they have the experience, they plug in, they want to come back. So they will already be plugged in. So at 16, 17, 18, you don't have to bother about them. They will come. So that's one of the reasons why they're trying to change it up. But the age of the camp has actually ran from 15 all the way to 21 when we started. Then after the first one, we realized that the 15-year-old was a little too young to kind of grasp what was being presented. And what we were presenting was really on things that we were expecting them to use in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade and going on. So we increased the age because of that. However, like I was saying, in order to bring it down, we are now looking for age appropriate things. They're still going to work on the portfolio, but they will start with it on an age appropriate level and build it up.
So thank you. I think we are always going to have these problems with ages. There are people who develop too fast, and I see
Yeah.
Karen says, sounds good. Yeah, he's in ninth grade already. So we have one candidate already for next year. Well,
Mm.
Caroline, I make sure that you hold you accountable and make sure that we get your son into. I hope you support. We wanted to also get back to the question. Gilbert, what are the teenagers expected to pack up or bring? Clothing and toiletries included warm or cold clothes, formal or casual dressing? Good question.
So we share a packing list like 2 weeks before. We share out the packing list. Comfortable clothing. Um, it is usually warm, so at this time they just need comfortable clothing. It doesn't need to be warm clothes or cool clothes. Just be comfortable. We do one outing, and for the outing we give them t-shirts. Well, we do two outings, sorry. For the outing we give them t-shirts, and that just helps to make sure that we're able to identify everybody and we don't lose anybody in our outing. So all we ask them to bring is a jeans or a pant or something that they can wear with the t-shirt. Um, Bringing in nightwears, bringing in bathing stuff. That also, we also keep some of those on hand because you always have that person that say, "Oops, I forgot my toothbrush," and then we need to provide that too.
Yeah, but it's always a packing list that's sent out, so the
Yeah,
parents would help can help the kids if these kids are struggling to pack.
to pack. Yeah.
Okay. In the remainder of the time, let me take a last word from Ebube. Let's hear from you. What are you, if we are calling you in to come and talk to kids this year, what will you tell them?
What that's a good one. I'm kind of stumped on that one.
Okay, you already said a lot of things. I mean, pick any one, and if you are coming to the camp, they said come and talk to the kids at the camp. What will you tell them?
So I would tell them, well, you're getting to the point in life where you have to start making decisions for yourself and by yourselves because they will dictate your future path. So you have to learn some independence. You should be able to have the space to breed your own independence because you can't depend on your parents forever.
Ebube, I'm
I missed
gonna
out the
be
last part.
bringing you in for that conversation.
The last part you said they should breathe what?
They
Their
should be
own
able
independence.
to breed their own independence.
Yeah.
Man, you're about to tell these kids to start running us out of town. But that's great. That's great because it's important for our kids to learn that independence, isn't it? To be able to learn at an early age, isn't it? I think it's great, and I'm glad that you took up the time, you loved it, and you are able to come back to talk about it. Because I'm sure if you did not like the experience, you would not have accepted to come back. Crystal, don't tell me that my internet problems have transferred over to you, but. Okay, be thinking out what you're going to tell your friends. But, Auntie, tell me, you're looking forward to this year. What are you looking forward to this year? Volunteering all week, taking care, and I'm sure you're going to be able to say bring this to some other aunties too and uncles. Any last?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I am definitely looking forward to be a positive influence in however I can be resourceful. Um, I'm a big advocate for exposure and experience because as I grow, um, I've come to find out that that's the best way in which um, we can learn. And in learning, that's how we become better. Because as I think it was Ibube or Crystal, one of us shared, I don't remember word verbatim how it was said, but in my own words, each person wants to be seen, wants to be valued, um, and wants to be heard. So as we experience life, And as we get exposure, we learn these things and we understand how to navigate them. This camp is the best platform to gain this from. So please, let's participate and actively participate. So
I
thank
think I,
you. So thank you, Circle of Trust.
I think we need to get you on more to be able to articulate this to parents. The danger in this country, Dillis will tell you from my experience, uh, parents don't have time for curricular activities, isn't it? It's straight on, have to send the kids off, they go to school, I have to go to work and then come back, that's it. But these are opportunities. I love the example that you used before. The Indian who at 13, who is born here, already knows about the credit score, knows about scholarships and all that. Our own kids know a lot of geometry and a little bit of trigonometry. Those are things that
Yes,
but those
yes.
other skills, and I'm glad you are able to plug this camp as a good pathway for the kids to take advantage of. Crystal, you thought through your answer. Let's get it then. What are you going to tell your friends who come into the camp this year?
I'll tell them it's a great opportunity to find themselves first, build a, 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 a path for their future, and also just basically have a good time, make friends, find new people, learn new things, and be able to start gaining self independence. Because, as Ebube said, there's some point in life where you be on your own to be able to grow on your own. You won't have your parents all the time. So that's it.
Great stuff. Find themselves, find yourself. So the camp is an opportunity for people to find themselves, build a path, just a happy time. And above all, self-independence. You guys are awesome. You're great. I think we need to get you on more. So to the organizers, Dr. J, no, let's go to Dr. Mrs. Mina. So in a nutshell, for people, somebody may just be like coming onto the show now. What are you telling them? What are we doing? What do you want to happen?
So I'd like to talk to those mothers and fathers out there that have a son or daughter that falls within this age group of 16 to 19. Um, I know you might be so busy and there's so many things going on in your world, and you as much as you're struggling right now to make sure that you put clothes on their back, food on their table to eat, and a roof over their head. Um, this world is going to need them to have and know a lot more than clothes on their back, food in their mouth, and a roof over their head in order to survive. This country we're in would need them to be more emotionally intelligent, be
What
more
happened to your volume?
financially intelligent.
Okay, see why we cannot hear you.
Understand the
We cannot hear you.
things.
Dillis? Yes.
Can you hear me?
No.
Nope. I think you take off your
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay. Sorry. The world is going to need them to be more financially intelligent, emotionally intelligent, um, and to know a little bit more than just what is going to be on my table, what is going to be over my head, what am I going to wear, to know about themselves. And in order to succeed, they need to know more about themselves. These are the things that I learned as a Magna scholar, and it's been a very valuable lesson for me. It was an accidental find. I absolutely did not know what I was signing up for when I signed up for it, but they gave me these tools, and it is out there. Even if you're not coming to the circle of trust or you're not bringing your child to the circle of trust, camps like this are out there. Take advantage of it. Let your child have that leg up that will make them spring forward and build a better future for them and eventually for your entire family.
Dr. J, now that Madam has said everything, I don't know what you have to say, but tell us a little bit again, synopsis, dates, people want to sign up, what to do, and any other thing you want to add, apart from telling me thank you.
Yeah, so I'm glad you realized that if you didn't tell me to talk about dates, I would not have much to add to the very powerful the thing that Liz just put forward there. So it's easier for me to talk about dates and times, right? Uh so it's a 1 week camp, 8 days and 7 nights, or 8 nights and 7 days. We usually do it from Sunday to Sunday, so you have the convenience of being able to travel on a Sunday, separate from your family, and also the convenience of going back on a Sunday. And then, so this year is going to be from Sunday the 9th of July to Sunday the 16th of July. The list already briefly summarized that in the mornings we focus on things that are academic and career related, building portfolio, and then in the evening we get into the afternoons we get into emotional intelligence and finances, and the evenings are mostly social evenings where the kids go and hang out. That sometimes the captain are at home or they go bowling or other things like that. Um, so that's basically the schedule. If you live in Maryland or the tri-state area, you probably can drive your kid in on that first Sunday. You can stay on with us for mass, or you could leave, drop them off and leave. If you're out of state, we've had kids, as Dennis mentioned, come from Texas, actually from Minnesota as well before. Then at 16-year-old probably can fly by themselves. So you drop them off at the airport in Minnesota or Texas or California, wherever. If provide us the itinerary, we'll pick them up at the airport here in Maryland or Virginia or DC, whatever, whichever the airport, of whichever one of the three airports you use. We have that information, and then we bring them to the camp. We'll drop them off at the airport the next Sunday for their flight back, and then we'll update you about their flight. We'll make sure that they leave, that their plane takes off before we leave the airport. That way, we can tell you their exact arrival time at the destination. So that's about it. Hopefully, we have a lot more kids sign up than we can take. And also a lot more volunteers, then we'll probably be able to do two classes in parallel, because you can only do so much with just a few volunteers.
I think that's the part that we have not talked about. 3 minutes, I added 30 minutes to the show, but let's take the last 3 minutes to talk about volunteers. What does it take to be a volunteer? How can somebody volunteer?
So we have a volunteer form that we usually put out. If you will reach out to also send you a volunteer form, because of course we want to do some basic level of caution, right? It's not extensive screening as if you're going to be working for the federal government, but just some basic things that parents will also realize that their kids are safe. But outside of that, any adult in a community, in any field, we want people that come from diverse fields, so that when we're doing especially the networking dinner, we'll have those volunteers that come from diverse backgrounds. That way, hopefully, each participant at the camp will be able to find somebody that's in an area that they'll be interested in. Doctors, lawyers, accountants, CPAs, nurses, pharmacists, teachers, what have you. So the more volunteers we have, we think the more diverse the pool of professionals that we'll have.
So
Because one of the
again,
biggest nights is usually that you know for you the interest is food, but our biggest night has always been the networking dinner. It's always been very exciting, and that's usually the day that we kick off the fundraiser for the next year. So we usually raise almost a quarter of the money we need for the next year by that evening, and then we run a 1 week fundraiser, and we always meet our mark with by the end of that week.
again, this is a program for the community, by the community, with the community. So we are making an appeal. I just put up the link to for those who want to apply. If you are seeking to apply for your child, you have the link right there. If there's anything, I think Circle of Trust, you can always look up the Circle of Trust and reach out. But we want to say thank you. Are we going to come back in a few weeks to make sure that we have the loose ends tied to say we have closed registration, we're getting ready, what parents should do, and all that? So this show was meant to make sure that we have seven, did we say seven people registered?
Yeah.
Right.
So this is
We have 9 to go.
9 to go. Let's try. I'm going to make sure that we'll push out in our churches, alumni groups, and cultural groups to make sure that this awareness is created. It's a wonderful opportunity. The way I described it before, it is free. You can't beat that. In this country, there's no free lunch, but this is free. One. Number two, lots of fun. You have heard from people who participated. That fear factor was taken out and turned into some fun. And of course, third of all, very fulfilling. You can see two kids who went through the program. They're very fulfilled. You could listen to them. You could hear the passion. It's not something that was prepared and given to them. I have never talked to these kids, and I'm not sure Dr. and Mrs. Minan gave them things to say, but you could get through, and you could get a mother who is so much interested, so passionate, wants to volunteer, wants to make $1 million so that she can come and spend the entire weekend. And we are praying that God should bless her wish so that she could
Amen.
really volunteer an entire weekend. I want to say thank
Amen.
you all, except somebody has some other thing to say. It's been great, and let the world, let us become ambassadors, let us become disciples, let us become missionaries of the circle of trust, so that we can have an overflow. Next year, we should plan on having 2, 3 teams because we have had enough to come in. Thank you all. Have a good
Thank you.
evening.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you
Lambert,
so
for
Thank you.
much,
hosting
Thank
Lambert.
us.
you. Good night.